quorum, unfortunately. Are you the stalwarts, the regular
Green
crew?
lights.
We are.
Yeah.
You don't recognize us?
I do recognize you, I was just wondering about the
You recognize me?
outline.
I'm not sure that's good.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, happy first full day of spring, everybody. We should be particularly happy for a change that we are in Michigan, not on the East Coast,
Oh, boy.
which is getting hammered.
Oh, boy.
I have to admit that my friends on the East Coast have actually begun to look longingly at Michigan, which I think is a stick.
That's funny.
It is funny, yeah, since I got so much flack about moving here from Florida in the first place.
Yep.
Well, I hope everybody's spring semester is going well. Thank you for gathering. We're gonna shift up the agenda a little bit. Everybody, do you all know Dan? And Dan, do you know everybody, or shall we go around the room?
Know most, but not everybody.
Let's go around the room.
Richard Yancey, music, choir specialist. And, actually, in my second year, I missed too many meetings last year, and Kimberly said, hey, buddy.
You're that low.
Yeah, you're doing it again this year. So I've made, to my credit and to her credit, I've made every one.
Yes, you do.
And I've been here the whole time. But anyway, no, glad to be here, but,
We actually do attempt to make these of some use.
oh, yeah.
Katie Weekland in biology.
Katie, what was the last name?
Weekland.
Weekland, thank you.
You know me, Carol.
Yep, thanks, Carol. Mitch.
Mitch Ziegler, I failed first time around, so I'm glad for a second go, so.
Oh, it's confession day or something. I don't know. Remember me? Sherry, nursing
Yeah,
department.
hey Sherry. I've done lunches with everyone except two here. It's good.
Mike Neidinger, chemistry.
Mike, how do you say your last name?
Neidinger,
Neidinger.
Neidinger, who cares, just Mike.
Neidinger. Mike.
Just like
We all
my
care.
Still probably mispronounced things, probably Neidinger or something.
Nah.
We care.
I used to work for a company that was originally John I. Thompson and Company, so it was known as JITCO. And it was acquired by a company known as the Texas Research Associates Corporation. So the name of our company was Tracor JITCO. So you can imagine the name we got from that. Anyway, thank you for coming. We're going to change the agenda just a little bit. Dan, introduce yourself.
All right. Well, some of you know, my name is Dan Vanderbilt, and yeah, just you're in an educational environment, so where was my education? I grew up in Holland, Michigan, went to Holland Christian High School. Some of you might know the Maroons, probably not, but went to Calvin College and started right after Calvin at Spring Arbor College then, university in 2000, right? Changed at that point. But I started at Spring Arbor University in 1990 as a resident director in Ormston Hall and advisor to intramural athletics. So if you did the math, it's 27 years that I've been at Spring Arbor. I appreciate Spring Arbor. I think it's a great community, and you know, I've enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, happy to be with you this morning, afternoon, sorry.
Appreciate your time.
You're
Because you're
welcome.
going to see in 2 minutes, he has nothing to do.
Sure. I hope the people joining us via video, including Rachel, can see my PowerPoint now. Yeah, she's probably muted, or am I muted? Just a question. You can see everything?
I can see it.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah, I can see it too.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Who's on?
This is Camille Humes. Hello.
Hi, Neil?
Mindy Wright.
Mindy
Hi.
Rice? Hi.
I saw Roxy.
Roxanne,
Great.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Very good.
Okay, so I've been tasked with talking a little bit about student life at Spring Arbor University, also known as Student Development and the Center for Student Success and Calling. Kim Hayworth is the vice president of the whole area, and she especially works on the side of student success and calling, which includes things like career and diversity and academic advising. I work primarily with residence life and student government, chapel, things of that nature, student life within the university. I've got a little PowerPoint here, and I hope that there'll be questions afterwards. We also work with accountability on campus with our traditional main campus students, excuse me.
That's SDL speech for what?
Discipline, yeah, accountability, yeah, rules and such, which we call community standards, because they are based on our community in particular. But our mission statement within SDL is to love enough to challenge and care enough to support. And really, we just tweaked a little bit of student development theory there by Neville Sanford back in, I think, 1960-something, which is challenge and support being a perfect model for developing students on a campus. So a lot of the challenges that occur are just, they're natural, right? Being in a room with another person that you don't know very well, and moving in on a move-in day and dealing with that situation when maybe you've had a room for your whole life. Making your faith your own is a challenge, right? After having parents perhaps tell you or try to get you to read what they want you to read and to go to church where you want to go to church, or they want you to go to church and everything. So there's all kinds of challenges in college. Some challenges we put in front of them, right? In the classroom, we manufacture these challenges to help them grow. So as we challenge, what staff and faculty, I think, do is come along students to support. And we do that through staff members like myself and our programs and our policies and procedures and so on, but especially through student leaders, of which there's more than 100 serving on our main campus. So challenge and support. A little bit more about the mission. We strive to make SAU a place where students grow in their faith in Jesus Christ, right from our concept, right? Thrive in intellectual development, gain consistency between personal beliefs and behavior. That's one of those big growth steps that we see occurring in college as students have freedom and support within that freedom. Accepting responsibility as a member of the community. So that takes all kinds of shapes, from following community standards to just being a person who adds rather than detracts from peace and life on campus and so on. Strengthening skills to manage life changes and being prepared to flourish in a culturally diverse society. Here's some of the programs that come out of there that you may or may not have thought of already, but Residence Life is definitely one of them. Activities in intramural athletics, multicultural student programming, career development, health services and counseling, campus safety, spiritual life, chapel, and other programs. Academic student connections, that's Willie Lewis and his crew, academic
And he's
support.
presented to you.
Oh, he has already?
Mhm.
Great. I won't need to talk about that much then. Commuter services.
How many of our students on campus are commuters?
Oh, well, I do know that. We're about 85% residential. So, yeah, quite a few. We do have, and it's in a later slide, but we have a resident requirement. If you're not 22 years or older, students are actually required to live on campus. It's maybe different than some schools, but we really value that living, learning community that occurs. But the 15% of students that commute, they commute from home, or they're 22 years or older, or independent status as determined by financial aid.
So they can commute if they're under 22 if they're living at home, is what you're saying? Right.
Correct. Yeah. So we have a fair number of students that do that. I live right across the street on Chapel Road, and both my girls lived on campus, so I walk to work. And, we still pay for the housing because of the importance we feel like that program has. So I'm not only the president, but I'm also a member, right? I used to say that with hair close for men. I'm also a client. Yeah, so services for commuters, graduation planning and course selection, academic advising comes out of the Center for Student Success in
This is
Collin.
for campus undergraduates.
True. Who do we have dialed in? You guys are all main campus primarily, not entirely, I guess. But calling in, we have,
Nursing?
okay.
Yeah. Do we have any counseling? No, I think we just have nursing and.
Yes, I'm in the MEC program.
Right,
This is-
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that would be in the sites.
Yeah. and
Yeah,
that's graduate.
primarily Lansing and Flint as of
Okay.
late.
Mhm.
Yep. We sometimes get into advising those areas and different things, but yeah, a lot of this is main campus activity. But yeah, thank you for, I think we should learn more about the sites, right? And it's nice if the sites learn about main campus as well. So glad you're here. Yeah. and
Student support. Now, student support is, has Laura been here? No.
Reckner.
Yeah,
That is for sites and programs.
right, because the
Yep.
student support responsibilities under SDL have expanded a little bit in the last few years as we've tried to extend to our off-campus students the benefits of having the support structure. And particularly for the online courses where students do not have access to the support from TPATH.
Right.
And there's a lot of conversation going on. As you probably know, Camille, there are efforts to strengthen our presence at the sites. And so student support is kind of collaborating with the, the student blank, the people who are full-time at the sites.
The site
The
coordinators.
site coordinators, yeah, we've changed the name several times. So student support here on campus is trying to coordinate with those folks to make sure that we are more and more able to provide resources from the university to support all of our students. So it's really focused on campus right now, but the intention is to expand and support.
Okay.
Right. There's 2 people in an office just 50 feet from us working on that right now. So one of the offices I mentioned is the Office of Intercultural Relations. For a school our size and of our type, we are fairly diverse, actually, and I'm talking about specifically ethnic diversity. 12% of our students are non-white, and that might not sound like much, but in the Christian college, 4-year liberal arts degree world, that's pretty good. We do have an office specifically to support everybody in living well within that, and especially supporting our students of color and first-generation students. That's led by Eric Beta is his name, and it's basically him and a bunch of student leaders called intercultural assistants, and then the rest of our staff too, as we can help. They seek to meet multicultural, academic, and social needs of the community by challenging minds to engage the subject of diversity, equity, and inclusion through a Christian worldview.
It might be worth mentioning, we also have a university-wide diversity task force, and I apologize, I won't remember the exact statistics, but our diversity of students on campus is significantly greater than that of Jackson County.
Yes.
And our combined diversity as a university is some number of statistically significant points above the diversity of Michigan itself. And we do constantly try to make sure that we're providing proper service to folks across all of the spectrum. We have a little bit of trouble, frankly, which is one of the reasons for the OIR in a rural agricultural setting in Jackson, because many of our diverse students come from cities and find this an unusual circumstance to live in. I think being rural is almost as challenging as being predominantly white for some of our students. So that's why this is a very important undertaking. And it's also very important because we have a significant share of campus students who grew up in small rural towns
Yes.
in Michigan who really have very little experience with other cultures and other ethnicities. So it's an important undertaking.
Yes. Yeah, make this be a safe place to grow and experience new things, regardless of who you are. Campus Safety operates out of student development and learning. And I would want each of you to know, especially you guys who are on campus or who visit campus, if you lock your keys in your car, there are people that can get in your car, unlock it for you. for free. Also jump starts, so it's a great service, unlocking.
I've had a jump start, that's.
Very good, Richard,
very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, late at night, yeah.
We had a certain staff member in the president's office have their car unlocked this morning, actually. But we won't share any names. We can all do that. But obviously they're there for safety, they're trained in first aid and things. It is just 2 professional staff, a director, Scott Crable. He's a retired fire department member for his career and also police within the Jackson Police Department. So he brings a lot of resources to us and passion for campus safety. He loves emergency management and things like that. So if you like talking about that, definitely call him for lunch, and he'd love to chat with you. He's assisted by another professional named Peter Breckner, who works an evening shift, and that's fairly new to us. Before that, we were all student workers, which then after Peter's evening shift, we are student workers. We call them campus safety officers, and they're trained again in first aid and in, Scott would tell you, powers of observation. So knowing what the campus norm is and then paying special attention to whatever's outside of the norm, which we should all be more about, right? Situational awareness, we call it. And that's what those students are doing. Obviously, they're limited also in what they can give us in terms of protection and stuff. They are unarmed, our students. Scott Crable, our director, is armed for our protection. They do unlocks security buildings at night and things, and rounds throughout the night and day. And they supervise parking as well. Any questions about campus safety? They are available for you as well, not just students.
Probably the single biggest safety risk we have on campus is people propping doors open that should be locked. Or unlocking locked doors, and this is a thing that faculty do because they've got the keys, and then not remembering to lock them after they've gone through. Because if you encounter a door that was locked and you're able to unlock it, please relock it. And that's very important. I should mention that Scott Crable does not have responsibility for our sites, but he is available for consultation. As you know, most of our sites are not owned by Spring Arbor University. So we have leased facilities, and the security there tends to be the responsibility of the landlord. Although obviously we express our concerns and desires, but campus safety is Spring Arbor campus, not the sites.
Thank you. We have a lockdown drill scheduled for, is it April 19, I think? And that's main campus also. You'll be receiving more communication about that. The Holton Health and Wellness Center, which Sherry's well familiar with, you spent some time in there. That also operates out of student development and learning, and it is, you can see the hours on there, which are pretty good. There's a $50 fee, health fee, that students pay to receive these services, and they're run by Mary Ann Broda, who's a nurse practitioner. So that provides, she's awesome anyway, just loves students and is very knowledgeable. And she can operate basically like a doctor with writing scripts for students and doing all kinds of different tests and things. She refers people out to Mitch. Mitch is involved with this effort as well and in the room. So yeah, they operate like a full health care center basically. And our counseling runs out of that area as well, which is located on this level of the student center, lower level of the student center. So Carrie Dashner is our director of counseling. She works alone except with the help of, they're not called interns, they're called, I think they're called interns. She has people who are in the MAC program. Somebody in this room knows the answer. Is it called interns?
Yeah.
Okay. There's another name, like resident or something. Usually she'll have 1 or 2 of them in a given semester too, and that's worked out very well for us. Hey, welcome.
Sorry.
It's worth mentioning, I don't know, did Kim Hayworth give you a presentation about kind of our student concerns at any point? If not, the demands upon counseling have exploded in the last 5 years or so. We are getting more and more students who are fragile. And so frankly, it is helpful if you as faculty members notice somebody who's not showing up, who isn't bathing, or other things are happening. Again, this is another occasion for the early alerts, so that we can get them into a situation where they can get some help.
Very good. Career development.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there might be consideration in the future for having counseling services available to students who are not on main campus? Because there has been concerns voiced by students as well as faculty members at times about the mental health of some of our students. And we can always refer them out, have them use their private insurance, for example. But since it's a service that's included in their tuition and is available on main campus, I'm just wondering if there would be consideration for expanding those services to some of the other sites.
Yeah, that is a good question. Students on the main campus do pay a health fee, which I'm not sure sites do, but of course that could be considered as well. Yeah, I'm sure there are needs out there. I'm not sure if it's being looked at right now or not.
Yeah, I also think if we have students we have a concern about, that should be escalated, so that we can decide how best to address it on behalf of the student, but also on behalf of the other students in the cohort or the class.
I mean, and specifically because we're a counseling program, I mean, we often talk about self-care and the need to, address your own issues, particularly before entering practicum or an internship, because sometimes there are triggers or there are issues that surface when students are working with clients, during the internship period. And so it's helpful if the students can take advantage of counseling services prior to that entry point, just to help them get the support that they need and work through any issues that may be prohibitive for them or challenging for them as they begin to work with clients.
Now that does make sense. It might be worth a conversation among MAC faculty and to put together a proposal that those of us who are not, have no expertise in that area could look at. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't really cover that. Yeah, so it's never too late for students to start in career development. We have different ways we reach out to freshmen to start writing resumes and thinking about internships and things like that. I think a lot of times when students think about career development, they think junior, senior year and job hunting. But it should really start earlier than that. They do all kinds of recruiting events. There's 2 employees within this area. Anna Tabone, if you know her, she's SAPA president, and Chad Melton as well are their career advisors. And they encourage students to get involved in the programs that are on screen here. They teach a couple of classes for undeclared or undecided students, and then a class on career life planning that does a lot of assessments, like personality assessments, those kinds of things. What kind of work is out there, and what should you consider? How should you prepare?
But Chad has been expanding his efforts to include our off-campus students as well, is he not?
They do work there. I'm not sure how much. Yeah, thank you.
We're trying to get Chad in to find out.
All right.
Thank you.
Academic student connections, you talked to Willie, you said, or
Willie was here.
he's been in here already?
And the important thing is that the accommodations that he works through with the student and the information that's available apply to our students off campus as well as on campus. And in fact, one of the biggest challenges is actually figuring out what sort of accommodation makes sense for online students or students in accelerated classes where you only have a 5 or a 7 week class. If the requested accommodation is twice as much time, that means the student can take only half as many courses in effect, which affects financial aid. So we have been advised by our attorney around this that we are not required to change the academic character of a course to accommodate a student. They still are expected to accomplish the same academic objectives. And for some of our students, that is surprising because the rules with respect to students in high school are much more open in terms of changing the course as an accommodation. Whereas in college, that's not the requirement of the law. So, but we are really trying to figure out in terms of our accelerated classes how best to achieve appropriate accommodations. So that's still kind of an open issue that's of interest.
I'm sure there's many challenges within that. Residence Life, our mission is to guide students' growth through meaningful relationships with God and others in a purposeful, living, learning environment. So I think what you'll hear within that is the greatest commandment that Jesus gave us, right? To love the Lord your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And secondly, to love your neighbor as yourself. And that's the way that we approach student leadership in general and within Res Life, of course. I mentioned already students are required to live on campus, so that's something you may want to be aware of. We have roughly 900 students living on campus, most in traditional res halls, which means your community bathroom and sharing a room with one other person. But we do have suite style housing as well, especially our village units. If you know what those are, they're the kind of attractive brick buildings that are off by the soccer field, for example. Those are village units. They're suites. Delta Hall within Lowell Hall, our X-shaped building in the middle of campus, is suite style. And then we also have K houses or koinonia houses, and those are houses where seniors live with anywhere from 10 to 5 roommates, and that's kind of a cool environment for people to close out their experience.
10 housemates.
Housemates.
Yes. Correct.
Yes, that's
10
it.
roommates would be a bit cramped.
It is housemates. Our biggest one is right on M60 by the sophomore parking lot or by the prop shop. That's the Jones house. And that's a pretty large house that the students enjoy living in. Do you guys have questions about residence life at Spring Arbor University?
Well, we may hear about Ormston and
Yeah.
Buffett for next year. What's going on there?
Yeah, we built Andrews Hall, which houses around 240 students, about the time our enrollment was at its very peak, and growing 10% a year. Unfortunately, we started contracting a bit with enrollment after that point. Fortunately, we were out in apartments and things that we could bring students back from to keep things pretty full. But eventually, it has become apparent that we can still function without using Ormston and Muffet halls. So next year, for the first time in many, many years, I think those halls were built in the 40s. In fact, I know they were. We're not using them for housing. And what the future of those buildings are, I don't know. There's all kinds of ideas being thrown around. One hope would be, of course, that we can remodel them to make them nicer. They are kind of dated. But remodel them and grow our enrollment and fill them up again. That would be awesome. But as it is, we have our highest quality housing that we're utilizing next year instead of our lesser quality housing, which was still, I want to tell you, totally acceptable and good. And students are having a good experience there this year. But to operate more lean with staff and everything else, we're going to be in Lowell Hall and the village units and Gainey and Andrews Halls next year.
Is there much moaning and groaning and gnashing of teeth among the Ormston faithful?
That's a funny question. Just this morning in chapel, there was a funny video. I didn't know what it was going to be about. I'm sure our chaplain did, and it was fine, but it was a guy, he was having a bad dream, and he woke up, and it was him going to Ormston Hall, and there was a closed sign on the door. So that was a video that showed at chapel today. I'm sure it'll be the major joke in a traditional activity called Porch Fest. I don't know if you guys have heard of Porch Fest yet, but it has traditionally been called Ormston Porch Fest. It's hosted by Ormston men, and of course that will be full of skits and odes to Ormston Hall this spring. One of the last weeks of April, that will be.
Ormston and Muffet being the women's
Yes.
equivalent, but Ormston in particular has this great ethos. They have the
It does.
Ormston Kazoo Band.
Yeah.
At the Christmas celebration, Ormston always has their version of the Nativity, which is
Hanging of the greens, yeah, what are we gonna do with that?
always very interesting. So
Yeah.
there's undoubtedly going to be some feeling about this.
Sure.
So if you hear people talk about Ormston and Muffet, that's
Ormston Tabernacle Choir is a
Yes.
over 30-year tradition where the men from Ormston Hall sing a song, and they sing some of the verses straight up, and then they do different things with some of the other verses.
And I've, the last couple of years, I've done some recruiting from the Ormston Tabernacle Choir.
Really?
so,
Okay.
Or tried.
Good. So yeah, it's sad, but it's the right decision to do for our campus at this time. I mean, I was a resident director there for 5 years, so I'm connected to the place, but we move on, right? Student leaders. Like I think I said already, we have over 100 student leaders. They're resident assistants and they're peer advisors that work with our Core 100 program, and they're intercultural assistants that work with our Office of Intercultural Relations, and they're SLAs, student spiritual life advisors. So I know I can't impact culture so much where I'm at in the office and so on and being around campus, but through training that we do with these 100 students that are living in all areas of campus and in classrooms and everything, hopefully we can make them buy into what SAU is all about and influence the culture in a really positive way. So that's a great opportunity. Both of my daughters have been involved in student leadership, and it's really developmental for them and also great for our campus. Some legendary student activities, according to Dan Vanderhill, I have to say. I don't know if anybody else calls them legendary. But I just told you about Porch Fest. It's Ormston Porch Fest. That's been going since, some would know Roger Varland. He's quite a figure here at Spring Arbor and now is working in Africa. But he started Porch Fest back in, it would be 82 or something like that. It's still going strong. There'll be 500 students there last week of April. And it's just kind of a variety show, basically. And you're welcome to come as well. Quite a few community people do. I would make no guarantees as to the quality of the entertainment. Students will be there in mass, and it'll be fun. Salon Day Refuse just went on Tuesday night, actually. No, Sunday night. Sunday night. That is a student-started tradition that's really gained momentum, and it's patterned after art shows in France. Maybe Kimberly knows this. Kimberly knows all kinds of random facts. But anyway, there's some art show where Monet and some other really famous artists were rejected from an art show, but they were really good, and I guess they opened up this art show across the street from the real art show, and this one became more popular than the real one, right? So I don't know how some students got a hold of that idea, and these are artworks that are rejected from Spring Arbor's art show in our gallery. And students submit them to this board of students, and they clear out residence hall rooms and create this beautiful art gallery on a men's residence hall floor. So anyway, that's kind of neat.
And it's run as a very sort of formal show.
Right.
You know, and people dress up to participate and act as though they were actually going to buy the artwork and this sort of thing.
Piano playing, live
That's
piano
right.
playing, and a drink bar with names like the Plague and midterms. The drinks there have names. Yeah. They're non-alcoholic, of course. 80 skate night is basically what it says it is. Students just come out in mass for that, and they dress up like they think people dressed in the 80s. I know what they dress like in the 80s. It's not quite the same, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of it.
That's funny.
And yeah, they're there. Assassin is a game. It's a tag game with Nerf guns. Skating for Tukes has been going on for 27 years, and it's
Everybody know what a toque is? Nope.
nobody knows what a toque is. It's a Canadian Canadian word for knit hat. It's a stocking cap. So the prize, if you win a skating race, for example, is a knit hat or a toque, skating for Tukes. But hundreds of students 300 will show up for that. Lip sync is going on, was this Friday, but the track team had a game or a match rescheduled for Friday, and that was half the entertainment. Half the lip syncers were tracksters, I guess. So they're putting it off to a later date. But really, there's some amazing, typically, most years, there are a couple of amazing numbers, and everything's fun, but where students just show tremendous creativity and choreography, and 500 students will be at Western's auditorium to see that. So yeah, probably a lot of times when people think of student development and learning, they think of pizza and fun and events like I just described at the end. I wish it was more of that, frankly. And it is those things. But it's also supporting students through some really hard times and challenging them in places sometimes where they don't always want to be challenged. We didn't really talk about accountability or discipline and rules and things, but we do have a student handbook that gets looked at every year and tweaked. And I think my view of Spring Arbor University is that in terms of student life, we're kind of in the middle in terms of whether you're like really strict or you're really not strict at all. Our rules are, for the most part, I think, biblical, or rules that we think are best for people's safety. So we don't have rules like how long your hair can be, or that you have to wear collared shirts on Friday, or chaperones on dates and things like that. I'd encourage you to read the student handbook. The first 20 pages are interesting, okay? But read it, get familiar with what we ask students to comply with. We're a alcohol-free campus, both on and off campus. We ask our students to comply with that. That's not biblical. I don't think you can make an argument that's biblical, or that would be a stretch, I think. But we have been that way forever, and we believe it's a good way for our community to be, and we ask people to voluntarily choose to submit to that. And
Well,
yeah.
it's biblical in the sense that we see the devastation that occurs in so many colleges with alcohol.
Yes.
It's a safety, it's a safety issue.
There you go.
I mean, if you presented it even that way, it's a lot of incidences with date rape and accidents and things like that are
Sure.
alcohol related, so it really is a safety issue.
As a Title IX coordinator for Spring Arbor University, I appreciate that.
Yes.
We don't have a party culture, a frat culture, if you will. Yeah.
I should mention also, I am personally frustrated by the fact that we cannot feed to the sites the material that's available on screens on campus. Because ideally, what I'd like to do is to be able to show at the sites some of these fun activities, as well as some of our sports and so forth, to give our students at the sites a little better feel for the university, the campus. And then on the other hand, I'd like to be able to feed materials from the sites and the programs and their students we have there, here on campus. We have one screen that shows site activities. Anybody knows where that is? Right down the hall. When you come down the stairs, that first screen has site activities on it. So if something's going on at your site that you want us to know about, you get in touch with my office and we'll figure out a way to get it on that screen. But we're trying to figure out a way technologically to unite the university so that people are aware of things going on. But we're not there yet.
Right. Been talking about chapel. Chapel is required at Spring Arbor University. That includes for academic events, actually. And generally, that works out fine. It includes athletics. Here's how we do attendance is you get 6 misses for whatever you want. There's about 25 chapels per semester. And of those 25, a student can choose to miss 6 with no consequence. So if you're a soccer team member and you do have a game on a chapel day, we don't do excused and unexcused absence. It's just manage your 6 misses and use that for that. So even like a choir tour would
When
be
you
an
go on choir
example.
tour, yeah, they have to take
Yeah.
one of their misses, yeah.
Yeah. So that just probably saves us from having a full-time staff member, keeping track of excused and unexcused in chapel instances. Students don't blow out their chapel misses. They enjoy chapel for the most part, and they attend. They'll have perfect attendance. There's a minority of students that we need to cajole into attending chapel. They most want to, and it's not like at the end of the semester there's less people there because they've got misses left. So I think that's an indication of the kind of culture that has been created by Brian Kono and Ron Capico and our, you know,
And the
student-led
musicians.
worship. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. So, any questions? Anything you've wondered about student life? You've seen a poster up, or you've heard something? You're just curious about anything with student development, campus safety? I'd welcome any questions.
Now we're in the future.
That's true.
Well, just a word of kudos. I've had a number of run-ins, or however you want to describe it, of support activities where I've reached out to student development, and I've always been very grateful for everything that the student safety, campus safety officers are very helpful. Late at night, they're around the buildings, locking things up, and when we're burning the midnight oil, and they always come in and check on us. That's terrific. And the care you have for students, it's great. I've mentioned that before. Those alerts are fantastic.
Yeah.
When we've used them, there's been great responsiveness for the students, and it's been terrific. And just general support of being able to work with us when we need to put something up in the dorms. They've always worked with us really well, and so it's just, we appreciate all that you do in your office. It's really terrific.
Thank you. Yeah, Richard's been a person that has referred some students with some pretty severe needs to our office, and we've been able to work together with him. I'm going to work on getting, feel free to continue to ask questions, but I think I'm going to get Ina's thing ready to go here.
Let me give you a little bit of background here. 5 years ago, we had an opportunity to work with the brachial plexus palsy clinic at the University of Michigan on a series of collaborative research efforts. We had 7 efforts where our students and our faculty worked with the faculty and staff of the brachial plexus palsy clinic. Brachial plexus palsy is an injury to the nerves in the shoulder and arm, such that you'll see children who don't have full use of their arm. It's actually as frequent as cerebral palsy. It isn't quite so noticeable, but it has a major effect on the quality of life. There are early interventions, there are late interventions, but not a lot of research has been done on it, considering there's a significant incidence. So we had a donor who was very, very excited about getting the institutions together. The folks at the University of Michigan were very excited because the money was going to come in such a way that the University of Michigan would not grab half of it, which they usually do for grants. And they felt that we were much more flexible institution, so that we had folks from 6 different departments all over the university, including some of our graduate students, work on projects. These have resulted in 6 or 7 scholarly publications, situations where our students were able to go and present at professional conferences, and that's resulted in at least a couple of our students being accepted into graduate school even before they applied. The latest article that's come out as a result of that is being presented in South Africa in the next month or so. And the interesting thing is that the clinical environment, the folks who are engaged and interested in brachial plexus palsy are very excited about the work that's been done. It's cutting edge work. I mean, some of it sounds pretty simple, but they did not have a baseline for the hand strength of children with brachial plexus palsy. And our students were able to develop a baseline for that. There was not a quality of life measurement of how children progressed as they grew up, and how effective they felt. And that research was able to be done. So great things have come out of it. We also have produced a video for them. We've produced a booklet, which is now, I think they said, in its 3rd printing. And for parents, it's a little sort of a cartoon book. The very first edition had a baby that everybody decided was scary. So one of our art students corrected that, so we didn't have a scary baby. But that's been very effective. But as a result of that, we discovered that we did not have a mechanism internally to address the requirements of the National Institutes of Health for human research. And as a result of that effort, we were just tagging on to the University of Michigan's review board, their institutional review board, and that was taking an awfully long time. You can imagine the University of Michigan has gazillions and wasn't sure what this funny little school was doing, mucking about with their IRB in the first place. And as a result of that, we developed our own institutional review board. And we'll see the video that Ina Molitaris has put together. The IRB applies to anyone associated with Spring Arbor University, whether you're a faculty member, an undergraduate student, or a graduate student who is doing human-related research. So Ina was not able to join us today, so we have a video. Here we go.
Hello, new faculty members. Welcome to Spring Arbor University. My name is Ina Molitouris. I'm the assistant professor of business, and also I serve as the IRB chair for our university. Unfortunately, I cannot be at your meeting today, so I decided to record a short video to introduce our IRB committee to you. So,
We're trying to get it up on the screen.
Folks at the sites, were you hearing the video?
Yeah, I was able to hear it.
Okay. But not see it, or were you able to see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw the first slide of the PowerPoint.
Yep, I could see it.
Oh, good, it just wasn't showing up here for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just let the
We'll
folks
turn
here.
the screen around and
Yeah.
everybody gather in. And we can probably send it out later since it's recorded. You haven't lost it, have you?
No, well,
good.
yeah, yes and no. I think,
Was that a commercial that was, is it on YouTube or something?
see, none of these are the one. Let's see, can we just go back?
If you want to know roughly what we're looking at,
Looking
yeah,
Looking at birds?
Jim or will go Mars.
So,
Alrighty, when we go high, we do look at the world record, obviously, but
Okay,
guys,
well,
you
while
know,
we're
we
working
don't
on
just
getting
stop
that
there.
working, if we
We
could
do
put
the
that
bank.
down.
yeah.
What I'd like to do,
Can you come down and help me get a video back? I have a minimal attires.
we will circulate this to the remote attendees also. It's just a little bit of background on the faculty review process. Actually, that was only that I need. As you may have experienced in your first year or so here, we have a lot of good processes and procedures, not all of which get entirely accomplished. However, we do have in place a faculty review process. Let me quote from the department chair and program director's guide concerning the faculty review process. The chairs are mandated to be clear in their expectations, be specific about requirements and things that they want to have happen, let faculty members know where they have latitude and freedom. When mentioning improvements or changes, do not be insistent about it, but be clear of those that are optional. Give a fair warning about issues you might feel might affect tenure or even retention. Keep a paper trail and be ready to offer assistance to junior faculty in preparing applications for promotion and tenure, as well as merit plans, which are submitted annually. That's as much as the handbook says. The guidance with respect to the faculty review process is here. Essentially,
Bowling ball versus trampoline equal.
the expectation.
Bowling ball versus trampoline.
Can you folks on the external, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Amanda's trying to fix the video. But at any rate, the idea is that annually, your chair or your program director will spend a little bit of time with you, just to talk about how things are going. So there is a general faculty review rubric, which I think is pretty straightforward, as all generic rubrics. It's very general, so that for each discipline or program, your chair should actually have expanded on this a little bit so that you know what in the world is being talked about, because a statement, areas of expertise are well developed and consistently updated by research, involvement in professional organizations, attendance at conferences. What does that mean specifically in your area? So this is kind of the general guidance that's given to your chair.
Hello.
Okay, well, let me finish this and then we'll launch Pina, if you would be so kind. Okay, you'll see it's very straightforward. It has to do with teaching effectiveness, managing your course, advising, scholarly development, involvement with Spring Arbor University, and so forth. There's nothing too surprising in here. I think perhaps more interesting is the faculty review, where ideally you should be observed in your classroom at least once a year. It's not intended to be scary or punitive. It's intended to give you suggestions about how to improve your teaching. One of the things we're trying to bring more and more to the fore is opportunities to learn about pedagogy. How can we improve our teaching? Because there are very, very, very few doctoral programs that teach us how to teach. And so we're trying to find both programs which give us some insight into pedagogy, or opportunities for conversation with more senior faculty who have encountered similar kinds of issues. I still have the ambition for what I call the Old Wise Heads Project. We tried it once and the video quality was so poor we had to trash the whole effort. But the intention here is to take some of our most respected older
Sorry.
faculty.
Can you unmute that so they can hear her?
It is unmuted.
Oh,
I
you just did it, yeah. Okay,
The
Taylor
internet
texted me,
cut
let
out,
me
so
know.
it had to read.
So we can have some of our most respected older faculty, including frankly some of our retirees, and have younger faculty interview them and say, how do you integrate faith? Okay. How did you make this difficult concept clearer to students? Is there another way of approaching an issue? And
I texted somebody and no, it's there. Okay, now it's better.
There they are, hi.
Yeah,
hi, sorry.
now we can see and hear you again.
Okay, good. I was saying that what we're trying to do in terms of the observation forum and in terms of other efforts we're trying to put in place, and that we're trying to record so that they are available to all of our faculty, are means to improve teaching. Because much as we are professionals in our area of expertise, we're in a university, we're also professionals about teaching. And so we should be looking for opportunities to continue to improve that. Now that's so that in the merit plan, we have a great emphasis on improving teaching. If you probably haven't, those of you who have been here a little longer have gone through the merit plan, but the idea is to say, for the more junior faculty, we really want you to focus most of your attention on improving your teaching. For the more senior faculty, we want you to look at your contributing to your profession, to your area, to your scholarly focus. So it works sort of, when you're more junior, there are more points available for becoming a better teacher. When you're more senior, there are more points available for research, which is where the IRB comes in. So I think this is pretty straightforward. If your chair or your program director is not talking to you, talk to them. And say, how am I doing? What can I improve? How can I be a better teacher? How can I be a better scholar? And so forth. We are trying to become more orderly in all of this, and over the next couple of years we'll probably be a little bit more stringent in making sure this takes place. It's required by our programmatic accreditors. It was a very strong recommendation of the Higher Learning Commission visit team when they came, that we really do pay attention to these kinds of things. So this is the policy, if you will, the process that's in place, and we want to make sure that it occurs. And again, the idea is not, the idea is to catch you doing things well, and to give you opportunities for improvement. So that's the intent of the faculty
Is this ever
evaluation
gonna-
process.
Do we go over this with our chair then? Is that what the purpose of that?
Your chair should go over this or something equivalent. At the end of the year, somebody should tell you how you're doing. It's really that simple. And how can you improve? And these do not get reported up. A very summary gets reported up. I don't see these. It's really a conversation between you and your chair. Okay, that was a really quick hit. Let's have Enos. If Amanda looks
The internet just keeps going and cutting out.
Okay.
So we will try it.
Go for it.
Dear faculty members, welcome to Spring Arbor University. My name is Ina Molitouris. I'm the assistant professor of business, and also I serve as the IRB chair for our university. Unfortunately, I cannot be at your meeting today, so I decided to record a short video to introduce our IRB committee to you. So probably you all know about IRB. It stands for Institutional Review Board, and our responsibility is to first encourage research on campus and also to follow the federal regulations. So if your research involves any human subjects, it must be reviewed and approved by IRB committee prior the research is going to be conducted. Also, it must fall under the definition of research and generalizable knowledge that I will discuss a little bit later. So what we try to do, we try to provide ethical treatment of human subjects in research, and also ensure that risk and potential gain of benefits are balanced and fair. Also, it is important for us to educate faculty and students about treatment of research participants. And as I already mentioned, we have to follow the federal regulations. When you submit an application to IRB committee, first, the activities that you are planning fall under the definition of research. That means that systematic activity that involves collection of data. And another component of research is you create generalizable knowledge. So what is understood by generalizable knowledge? The knowledge that you develop through your research with the intent to publish or present orally outside of your classroom or program, educational program. So if you plan to use your research for publication or presentation at any conference, you have to go through IRB review process. In this case, you have to obtain National Institute of Health certification. So the training is free and certification is good for 3 years. What is not generalizable knowledge? If you conduct a study that involves interviewing people or conducting a survey, and your study is going to be discussed only in your classroom or your program, that means that you will not do generalized knowledge. You will not produce generalizable knowledge. In this case, you do not go through IRB process. However, all instructors and students are responsible that all ethical procedures are followed. And in this case, the certification, National Institute of Health certification, is not required, but we recommend because it is a good learning activity. So when you plan research that involves human subjects and production of generalizable knowledge, we recommend that you plan your research ahead of time and you submit your application like months or couple months before you plan to start collecting your data. It happens very often when faculty submit their application last minute, and we found as a IRB, we found that application must be developed, improved, and reviewed by more than one person in the committee if it is full review research. And we cannot approve at the time that the researcher is requesting. So it creates disappointment, and we want to avoid this kind of situations and want you to plan your research properly. When you collect your data, it is very important that you protect confidentiality and privacy of your study participants, and also provide secure storage for your data collection, and also you have to understand you are aware that all data must be destroyed after your study is completed. When you complete your study, you have to report to IRB that your study is completed, and your report can be a summary of your research findings that you present. You will plan to present at a conference or publish. It can be your papers that you prepared for publication, or it simply can be a PowerPoint that you can use for to present your study at the conference. But it must be a report submitted to the IRB with a request to close your file. Approval is good. In most cases, approval is good for 1 year. And if you have not completed your study within this 1 year time frame, you have to reapply and request extension for your study to be complete. If you have any questions, I will be happy to talk to you, to discuss your study, to discuss your plan for your research. Please feel free to contact me, And I will be willing, I will be happy to meet with you and discuss in more details and answer all your questions. Thank you. And again, welcome to Spring Arbor University. And we are here to help you with your research. Thank you.
But, okay, now that's supposed to be quiet.
Cancel.
Cancel?
Oh, negative pause.
Somebody know what to do here? Okay. What I might mention is that the review process.
My name is Allison Felix, and this is my why story.
Is actually a quality assistance process also. The committee that reviews your proposal will make some suggestions about how to improve the research. We'll make some suggestions about clarifying or focusing the intent of the research and that kind of thing. So it really is, it's an opportunity to discuss with sort of a neutral party as to whether the thing is designed well. And that's a particularly valuable step for our students.
How many people are on the IRB?
It's a little bit flexible. I think there are 5 people all the time, and then there's sort of an expanded group that will work on more proposals. But it is intended to be beneficial. Some of the stories I've heard, frankly, is that the faculty member putting forward a student's work proposal may or may not have done a little bit of editing ahead of time, and that just delays the whole process. So the IRB is really looking to the faculty member of the course or the program that's resulting in the research to do a little bit of quality assurance before they have to deal with the student's proposal. But it's a wonderful learning experience for the student as well. I might talk about the NIH training. It's online. It's relatively short, but it raises interesting issues about human subject research that might not just pop into your mind immediately. The other thing is that by having our own IRB, even though we are not yet at the point of being fully NIH certified, it enables us to collaborate and research with other institutions so that we can say, yes, we have an IRB. And we can work with other faculty and other institutions fairly easily. And that's important. That's a valuable opportunity. So Carol was saying, but everybody has IRBs. No, we didn't have an IRB until about 3 years ago. And it has been tailored for who we are and the state of research that we've reached at this point. So we're also, frankly, looking for people who would be interested in serving on the IRB, who would be interested in reading some of this material, and finding ways to encourage this kind of research at Spring Arbor. And I think it's very important, particularly as we have the counseling programs, the nursing programs, our undergraduates in sociology and psychology and so forth also have these human subject research efforts. And we are contributing to knowledge in our areas, and that's significant and important. And it's an interesting professional undertaking for both faculty and students. So the IRB does a really good job. Their forms are on the portal, and in it is very, very happy to work with you if there's something that you'd like to do. She was the prime point person for a fairly complex research project that used to be required of our MBA students. They've simplified that, and it's given her a little bit more time to work with other folks around the university who want to do research. So we do encourage that. We encourage it sort of in general, but also for each one of you in particular. It's a way of building your own portfolio and accomplishments within your discipline, and we want to encourage that whenever possible. So thank you for your patience and for being here again today. We'll try to get Chad in here to talk a little bit about the career programming and particularly what's available at the sites as well. But next time is our last session. So be interested in hearing how your year is going. And thank you very much for coming to Spring Arbor University.